How's it going, everyone? What do we have here? We have an investing video. I'm going to talk about ETFs today. I actually did a video last week about actually some top performing ETFs and the top performing ETF that I actually found over the last 5 years that returned 1,400%. And it's pretty shocking. It's actually a group that I really didn't hear of until I started doing massive research related to ETFs and some of the top performers out there. But it's a company called Direxion. I might actually be pronouncing that incorrectly. It's spelled Direxion. And again, if you actually do that math, 1,400%. It's actually a little bit different. That 1,400% is now more like 1,250, and that's because here we are today. It is Tuesday, September 21st, I guess. Yeah, September 21st. And what happened is the market had a huge, pretty much everything in the stock market went down really bad yesterday. Obviously, there are some, ETFs and funds and stocks that did not go down, but the majority of the indexes all went down, and they went down big. When I say big, I mean like 3 to 5%. A lot of stocks and indexes were down 3 to 5%. So basically, if you actually do that math, 1,400%, right, divided by 60 months, I mean that is just crazy. 23% a month on average times 12 as like almost 200 and almost 300% a year return, which is just obviously, no past performance is never any guarantee of future performance. But at the same time, if you could find some ETFs to invest in that could return something like that, it's really just astonishing. Another video I did in the last couple of weeks is where I take you through one of my accounts, which is a Merrill Lynch Merrill Edge brokerage account, where I've actually returned 400% from January 2019 until now. Even there, I'm using quite a bit of margin to kind of use some leverage to increase my purchasing power, which when you have good returns, obviously that magnifies your returns, right? But basically, I went into this research, and first of all, this Direxion has so many different ETFs in the top performing ETFs for the last 5 years that I literally stopped counting. But they do have some really top performers in things like semiconductors. I don't really see myself investing in an ETF for semiconductors. That's just really just too niche and narrow for me. I personally, it's more exciting and it's more fun for me to invest in stocks for a lot of reasons. But at the same time, if you think about ETFs, what I see is exciting about ETFs is it really kind of helps you kind of compete, right? Like if you're a quarterback, I mean, why would you not want to kind of stack up how you're doing against Tom Brady? It's really the same thing with ETFs. You can find some really, super great ETFs out there and, stack up how you're doing compared to those ETFs, right? And another ETF that Direxion has are S&P 500 ETFs, right? They got a high beta one, and they just have a general S&P 500 basically ETF. It's a 3x, meaning like I guess they margin at 3x for their S&P 500 ETF. But one of them actually, if you look at the most recent 52 weeks, the most recent 1 year, one of them is almost a 300% return. And I'm going to take you in and show you that particular ETF today, okay? And to just give you a little bit more context, basically with respect to this company Direxion and all their ETFs, they have about 24.3 billion in assets under management. To give you a few examples, another group is ARK Invest, and ARK Invest has quite a few ETFs. In case you're not familiar, I would imagine if you are watching this video, you are somewhat familiar with investing. But if you're not, ARK Invest is actually run and founded. The CEO is Kathy Wood, and she became famous by putting that crazy $7,500 price tag on Tesla back in January of 2020. And ARK Invest has 52 billion in assets, and then another top financial group that's got some really high performing ETFs is called ProShares, and ProShares has 53 billion in assets under management. So here you have Direxion, about 50% of the assets that something like ARK has, and I would imagine most of the people out there have heard of ARK, and maybe not everyone has heard of Direxion. But that's just a little bit of context for you in terms of assets under management. So let's go ahead and take a look, everybody. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the most recent 52-week performance here for Direxion, okay? So here we have right here, as you can see, It says here 100 highest 52-week ETF returns. Right here we have HIBL, which is the Direxion Daily S&P 500 High Beta Bull 3x shares, 263.17. That is kind of just super exciting and crazy. As you can see, the top one is Direxion at 350, but that's a retail bull. I don't see myself investing in something narrow like a retail or a semiconductor because I would much rather invest in a stock myself, right? But Direxion's pretty much all over this. So if you go ahead and we take a look at the 3-year. We have the, so this is actually a different symbol, right? This is the Direxion Daily S&P 500, just not necessarily the high beta. So as you can see over here, this one right here, it's the Daily S&P 500 High Beta Bull 3X, right? Symbol HIBL. And then if you take a look at the Direxion Daily S&P 500 Bull 3X, that is a 109% return for the 3-year, which as you can see, they're pretty much right there in the middle of the pack. There's others that have, a much higher performance than Direxion, but even there with Direxion, they've got, their semiconductors is pretty high up there, right? And then if you take a look at the 5-year, you got the Direxion S&P 500 Bull 3X at about a 386. If you take a look at 386 for a 5-year, and then you look at then the Direxion Daily S&P 500 Bull at 109 for 3-year. My performance in my Merrill is actually much better than that because again, that's about 2.5 years. I went January 2019, and I have a video on my channel. I'll link it in this video where I did go back and I showed you my performance in that Merrill Lynch account where it's January 2019 until basically at some point in September of about 400%. So, but if you really think about the power of something like 300% a year, that really is certainly just life-changing performance, and that's why I wanted to do this video to kind of show you what they are. So if you take a look at what that is, so we've got HIBL, and again, HIBL is that top performer for Direxion S&P 500. If you take a look right here at 263%, the trailing 52 weeks or trailing 1 year HIBL, right? And we go here, we go to the maximum. They've kind of been around for a little bit with that since I guess late 2019. If we take a look at their holdings, we can see Goldman Sachs, Dreyfus, Goldman Sachs, Occidental Petroleum, Enphase Energy, Norwegian, Caesars Entertainment, Diamondback, Energy, Royal Caribbean. So they got some high beta S&P 500, holdings here, and then a lot of a lot of just big financial groups where they're actually putting those top holdings, right? And then that top 10, that's about 42.29% of the total assets, for this ETF. Okay, so if you want to, we can take a look at SPXL, which is the symbol there. So if we go into their holdings, what's funky about this SPXL, again, this is the one where it's just shy of 400% for the 5-year performance, right? You take a look at their top 5 holdings, which is 118% of total assets. So obviously, it's 3x leverage using margin here. iShares Core SP 500 ETF, Dreyfus SP 500 Index Swap, Goldman Sachs. So these top holdings aren't even stocks. They're doing other index swaps and other financial companies as their investments. So what looks a lot more, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but what looks exciting to me is this HIBL. And again, 52-week performance of 263. So almost 300% performance in the last 1 year. Again, everybody, I think personally, when thinking about what you can really do with something like that, like 300% per year returns or 100% per year returns, or really just beating 30%, because if you think about it, a lot of my videos here, I talk about becoming a mini VC where you go and you find opportunities with these smaller companies under 20 billion, just hit $1 billion in sales, and a couple other metrics I use in terms of a scoring system. If you can return your capital 35% a year without accounting for withdrawals, you could be doubling your capital every 3 years. So if you think about something crazy like 300% return, really is life-changing money. Even on this channel, I'll link to another video I did where I go ahead and I show you what could happen with something like basically 40%, 80%, 160%, and then 400% returns. It's really shocking to see what sort of what your capital could do with just something like $1,000 or $2,000 put in and then just invest it over time. It really is life-changing numbers, everybody. So if you like that ETF, go ahead and give me a like, everybody. If you like hearing about stocks, if you like hearing about top-performing growth ETFs, earnings releases, and the top some of the top stocks out there that could 10x in the next 1 to 10 years, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel and give me a like to the video. I've got a 6-point scoring system where I score turbo growth tech stocks. If you want me to run that, if you want me to run any of the stocks that you like through that system, let me know in the comments area. I also came out with a top 10. I've got a basket of 50 to 75 stocks that I'm watching, and I've got a top 10 turbo growth tech stocks that could 10x in the next 1 to 10 years. I've come out with that, and they're all a strong buy list, everybody. I'm going to put some links below to an investment guide that I put together, and when I have that list ready to purchase, I'll go ahead and I'll put it in here. Everybody, this is all for entertainment and for education. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm also certainly not your financial advisor, but I do have a background in investing. My first job out of college was Merrill Lynch. Then I did investment banking and then worked for Sun America here in Los Angeles for 3 years. I also have a good track record as an investor. I've got 5 10x's to my track record, 90x return on Netflix when you look at their 52-week high, and then a 33, which might be more like 35x return on Apple when I bought Apple back before the first iPhone came out in June of 2007. Other than that, everybody have a great week, and thank you very much.